February 6th of 2010, I showered with 2 women. Someday I'll have fun embellishing this story in the old folks' home. 1 week before said shower, I was content. I had and still have a wonderful wife, 2 beautiful children, great friends, and a good job. No real complaints. I was accustomed to things going my way, either by luck or through hard work, and was a bit of an overachiever. I'd recently ridden my bike in a fundraising event, finishing 5th out of hundreds of riders after taking a wrong turn and riding 106 miles instead of 100. In the mountains of Montana, dressed as Batman, with mask and cape. I had convinced some donors to double down if I rode in costume. I felt bulletproof, and to be honest, I had some learning to do in the area of humility. My mortality had only briefly shown up years earlier in a fantastic car accident. It was straight out of an action movie, but like the stoic hero, I recovered quickly and moved on with my life. And I did eventually get the girl. January 31st of 2010 was a very scary day. I wish I could say I was injured, wrestling a bear, but when I was putting on my socks to go to church, I felt a massive kick in the back that knocked me to the floor. You see, that car accident had left me with a bulging disc, and I had ruptured it in a way that only an overachiever could, catastrophically. And I still dislike socks. While I could not feel or control anything from the belly button down, everything was on fire. I did not feel the ER doc poking me with a splintered tongue depressor. I didn't feel it on my feet, or on the backs of my legs, or on my butt. The surgeon was blunt. This was one of the worst cases I've ever seen in this region of the spine, which impacts your internal organs and legs, but we will try to get you walking again. 48 hours later, for the second time in my life, I took my first steps. Baby steps. My physical therapist and wife accompanied me on the 15-minute walk to the nurse's station and back. An amazing feat of determination for only inches per step. I had to concentrate to make my legs do what we all take for granted. I was sweating and exhausted by the effort, yet I exerted more effort to hide my fear that I would never walk normally again, especially for my children. After a wheelchair taxi to the recovery ward, I learned I was going to get my first shower in 6 days. My tiny occupational therapist and her young assistant helped me shower, while my wife was in the other room. 2 small women lugging my dead weight taught me how to shower using a shower chair. This was not the group shower of my youthful days. One interesting thing about paralysis, like amputation, is that your brain tries to explain what it isn't feeling. My feet felt cold. Cold like when I was skiing or mountain climbing while growing up in Colorado. It was a familiar feeling. Despite blankets, heating pads, and buckets of hot water, I had popsicle toes. On about day 9, a priest from our church brought me a prayer shawl, which I thought was a terrible idea. You put something out for everybody to touch with their flu fingers while offering a prayer, and then deliver it to a sick person. After she presented it to me, she asked me where I wanted it, and to keep it far away from me, I said, put it at the end of the bed. After she left, I noticed my feet felt warm for the first time in February. Then and there, I witnessed the power of prayer. My next steps were in a more scenic location. We got home, my wife Elizabeth took me to White Rock Lake to slowly build on my 50-meter shuffle. She knew I thrived on fresh air, having always believed that the sun shines on those who go outside, and we needed some sun. She withheld my coffee until we got to the turnaround bench. And I'll tell you that coffee and a sunrise with the love of your life is a great motivator. I envied the cyclists while walking where I used to ride. So my friends Rick and Kevin helped me put red bar tape on my walker to match my bike. But I hated to be seen with it and refused to be photographed with it. I did not want the walker to become part of who I was. It was a borrowed identity. After several months walkering at White Rock Lake, an older cyclist who said he had been watching me for months advised me to get rid of the walker. Why it took him to get me moving, I don't know, but I am thankful he stopped. I moved to a cane the next day after getting trained by my physical therapist. We joked that canes were making a big comeback. My brother made me a cane from an aspen tree near where I grew up, something I cherish. A moving, beautiful, and incredibly useful gift of love that also drew attention away from my injury. After moving to a cane, I also got on a bike. It was not my Serato road bike, but a special safe bike, because while my right leg had recovered more, I still had only 50% of my left leg function and no feeling in my rear. It really is amazing how much riding depends on feeling with your rear. After strapping my cane to the bike, I had wind in my hair and a smile on my face. It felt normal and was what I did to escape even when I was young, because cycling is freedom for me. Drugs diminished the pain and deadened everything else. Zingers, as I called the lightning strike pains, are curious torturers. I couldn't predict when, where, or in what form they would strike. At times, I actually welcomed the pain because when it was present, I didn't have to wonder. Waiting is always worse, but on meds, food lost its taste, sounds were dull, and everything felt sluggish. As a lover of food, music, physical activity, and the laughter of my family, this tormented me. Ultimately, I decided to stop living in black and white and move back into color without medication. I had used the song, King of Pain, as an alarm for pill time. Now I accepted the pain as a sign of healing. From behind my cane, I watched my toddler neighbor as he took his baby steps and thought about what nature was teaching him. I noticed that humans learn to walk by running, and I tried to mimic him. I took photos of my calf's progress, as well as other interesting things I wanted to share along the way, like my therapy balls, which were blue. And sadly, Swedish ball therapy involves exactly 0 members of their famed bikini team. I was diagnosed with cauda equina syndrome. This is a rare condition often resulting in the need for permanent walking assist, inconvenient waste management, frequent physical therapy, and medication. I made a conscious choice to ignore this prognosis, the depressing literature, and bitter support groups. I did not want to hear people complain about their situation or focus on what I could not do, but on what I could do and build from there. At this point, I've gone well beyond the recovery predicted by doctors and literature. I have developed a healthy disregard for the impossible, gratitude for my ability to heal, and I continue to use cycling as my therapy. I know the support of my family, friends, and community brought me through this and enabled me to maintain the positive attitude and sense of humor I needed to heal both myself and my self-image. I feel almost fortunate that I got to experience old age while still young enough to appreciate it. Things still get better every day, and I rarely use my cane. Just last week, I perceived touch on the bottom of my left foot for the first time in 2.5 years. Many privately fight cancer, diabetes, or addiction, and learn, as I have, that either you overcome your challenges or they overcome you. There is no living with them, and every little kindness helps. It has been a long walk from that day filled with exquisite pain, followed by often frustratingly small steps forward in all aspects of my recovery. The miracle for me, however, is not that I walk. It is that so many people have chosen to walk with me.